There's something you need to understand right now. The moment you trade your self-respect for approval, you've already lost more than the relationship itself could ever give you. Because respect is the foundation of every healthy bond. Without it, love is just a shell. It looks shiny on the outside, but it's hollow inside. And too many women make this mistake. They confuse keeping a man with keeping themselves whole. They think, if I just bend a little more, if I just accept a little less, maybe he'll stay, maybe he'll love me more. But here's the truth. Every time you do that, you're not gaining him, you're losing you. Self-respect is not arrogance. It's not pride. It's the quiet, steady voice inside you that says, I am worthy, I matter. My boundaries are not negotiable. And the moment you hand that over to someone else just to keep peace in a relationship, you're teaching him how to treat you. You're telling him, you can cross this line, and I'll let it slide. And once he knows that, he won't stop. Why would he? People don't value what comes without boundaries. Think about this. If you walked into a museum and the guard said, touch whatever you want, climb on the artwork, it's fine. Would you treat those masterpieces with the same care, the same reverence, the same respect? Probably not. Why? Because value is upheld by boundaries. The do not touch sign isn't rude, it's a reminder that this has worth, and so do you. But when you sacrifice your self-respect, you take that sign down. You say, it's okay, you can talk to me however you want. You can disappear for days and come back when it's convenient. You can treat me like an option, and I'll still be here. And then you wonder why he doesn't change. But why would he? You've shown him that your love is unconditional even in the face of disrespect. That's not love, that's self-betrayal. Let's get real. Sometimes it's not even the big betrayals that strip your self-respect. It's the little daily compromises. It's the way you let that sarcastic comment slide because you didn't want to start a fight. It's the way you say yes when your whole heart wanted to say no. It's the way you keep showing up, cooking, giving, doing, while deep down you know the energy isn't being matched. And over time, those small sacrifices add up. You don't wake up one day and realize your self-respect is gone. It's been eroded piece by piece, smile by smile, apology by apology. Here's the thing, a man worth keeping will never ask you to give up your self-respect. He'll never ask you to stay quiet when you need to speak, or to tolerate disrespect just to keep him comfortable. A man who truly values you wants you to stand tall, to be firm, to have standards, because your strength doesn't threaten him, it inspires him. But a man who feels more powerful when you're small, silent, or submissive, he's not your partner, he's your captor. And I know what you might be thinking, but what if I lose him? Let me flip that question. What if losing him is the best thing that could happen to you? What if the relationship that requires you to betray yourself is the very thing holding you back from the love and life you truly deserve? Because here's a fact, you can recover from heartbreak, but recovering from losing yourself is a much harder climb. Picture this, you're in a room full of mirrors. Every time you compromise your self-respect, one of those mirrors cracks. At first, it's just a little line, not too noticeable. But as time goes on, the cracks spread. Soon, the reflection you see is distorted. You don't even recognize yourself anymore. That's what sacrificing your dignity does. It distorts who you are. But the moment you say, no more, the moment you stand up for yourself, it's like the mirror starts to heal. Piece by piece, you see yourself clearly again. Self-respect means saying, I'd rather be alone with my peace than together in chaos. It means understanding that love without respect is not security, it's slavery. And let me tell you, loneliness with dignity is 1,000 times better than togetherness with shame. If you want a man to respect you, it has to start with you respecting you. You can't demand what you don't demonstrate. Set the tone. Set the standard. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Walk away when your boundaries are crossed, because nothing makes a man pay attention faster than a woman who refuses to beg for his attention. This isn't about being cold-hearted. This isn't about never forgiving. This is about knowing your worth so clearly that you don't have to argue it, explain it, or defend it. You simply live it. And the right man, the high-value man, will meet you there. So never, under any circumstances, sacrifice your self-respect to please him, because the love that costs you your dignity is too expensive. And at the end of the day, when the lights are off and no one's around, the person you live with forever is you. Don't betray her. Don't silence her. Don't abandon her for someone who doesn't even see her value. Because here's the truth. When you hold on to your self-respect, you don't just keep your dignity intact, you send a message to the world. This is who I am. This is what I deserve. And I will never accept less. And that message, that's what attracts real love, lasting love, and the kind of partnership that doesn't just survive, it thrives. There's a dangerous trap a lot of women fall into when they fall in love, they start shrinking. At first, they're full of fire, dreams, passions, ambitions. But slowly, almost without noticing, they begin making themselves smaller just to make him feel bigger. They downplay their success, they put their goals on the back burner, they quiet their light because he feels uncomfortable in its shine, and they call it love. But it's not love if it costs you your dreams. It's sacrifice, and sacrifice without balance always turns into resentment. Here's the truth: a relationship should never require you to abandon the very things that make you who you are. Your dreams are not negotiable. They are not optional. They're a part of your identity, your soul, your future. And when you give them up to make a man feel secure, you are trading your destiny for his comfort. That is too high a price. Think about it like this: imagine you have a garden full of seeds that are meant to grow into beautiful flowers. Those seeds are your talents, your visions, your goals. Every time you tend to them, they grow. But if you stop watering them because someone else says, "Your garden is too much, your flowers make me feel small," you let the garden wither. And when the garden dies, you don't just lose flowers, you lose a piece of yourself. Here's the problem: when a woman puts her dreams aside for a man, she tells herself she's doing it out of love. "I'll just wait. I'll support him first. I'll circle back to my goals later," but later never comes. Years go by, and suddenly she wakes up realizing she's built his life but abandoned her own. And the bitter truth: most of the men who demand that sacrifice don't stick around forever. And when they leave, you're left with nothing, not him, not your dreams, not yourself. But let me say this clearly: a man who truly loves you will never ask you to dim your light. He will never feel threatened by your success. He will never say, "Don't do that because it makes me uncomfortable." In fact, the right man will be the loudest voice cheering you on. He'll be proud to stand beside you while you climb. He'll brag about you, not try to break you down. And if you're with someone who feels smaller every time you stand taller, that's not your problem to fix. That's his insecurity. His comfort is not your responsibility if it comes at the cost of your purpose. Ask yourself, what would the little girl inside you think if she saw you giving up the dream she once held so tightly? She'd probably cry. She'd probably ask, "Why did you let go of everything we wanted just to keep someone else happy?" And deep down, you'd know she's right. You don't owe anyone the death of your destiny. Here's something powerful to remember: when you chase your dreams, you don't just elevate yourself, you elevate the relationship too. Because when you're fulfilled, you bring more joy, more energy, more confidence into love. But when you suppress your calling, you start to resent him. You start to blame him for the emptiness you feel. And eventually, that resentment poisons everything between you. So let's be real: if a man is threatened by your ambition, he's not the one for you. If he feels smaller when you stand tall, then he's showing you he's not ready for a woman of your caliber. Because a strong man doesn't need you to shrink, he celebrates your shine. And I know, it can feel risky. It can feel scary to chase your goals, to prioritize your dreams, especially if you've been conditioned to believe that love requires sacrifice. But hear me, love without freedom is a cage. And cages, no matter how pretty they look on the outside, always suffocate on the inside. When you refuse to abandon your dreams, you're not just protecting your future, you're protecting your dignity. You're saying, my goals matter, my vision matters. My life is not a supporting role in someone else's story. I am the main character, and the right man will be honored to be part of that story, not threatened by it. Never forget, dreams don't die, they wait. They wait for you to choose them again. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to go back. Don't waste years of your life playing small just to keep a man comfortable. Comfort is temporary, regret is permanent. So let me leave you with this truth: you can love him and still love your dreams. You can support him and still pursue your goals. But the moment he asks you to choose between him and your destiny, the choice is clear. Choose you. Because a man who truly belongs in your life will never put you in that position in the first place. Your dreams are the blueprint of your soul. Don't burn them down just to build someone else's castle. Because at the end of the day, if you don't fight for your future, no one else will. And the man who truly loves you, he'll be right there, fighting with you, not against you. Independence isn't just about money or status. It's about freedom. It's about being able to think for yourself, move for yourself, and make choices that honor who you are. When you let a man control your independence, you hand over the keys to your life. And the hard truth is, once you do that, it's very hard to get them back. A lot of women don't realize how subtly it happens. At first, it looks like love. It looks like care. He says things like, "I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about that. I'll handle everything." And maybe in the beginning that feels good. It feels like safety. But slowly, that "I'll handle everything" turns into "don't worry about it." Then into "you don't need to do that." And finally into "you're not allowed to do that." That's not love. That's control dressed up as care. Your independence is your anchor. It's what keeps you steady when the relationship gets rocky. Because let's be honest, no matter how much you love someone, relationships aren't guaranteed. If he leaves, what do you have? If you've given up your independence, your money, your friends, your voice, you have nothing left but regret, and regret is heavy. Never forget, a healthy relationship is two whole people choosing to share their lives, not one whole person and one dependent shadow. You don't need to shrink yourself into dependence just to be loved. You don't need to rely on him for every dollar, every decision, every ounce of validation. That's not partnership, that's ownership. And you're not property. Financial independence matters, emotional independence matters, social independence matters. Let's break that down. Financial independence means you can stand on your own 2 feet. You don't have to beg for money. You don't have to ask permission to spend. You don't have to justify your choices. Emotional independence means you're not relying on him to define your worth. You love him, yes, but your confidence, your happiness, your peace doesn't rise and fall on his mood. And social independence means you keep your friendships, your connections, your life outside of him alive. Because the day you cut all of that off, you've made him your entire world. And that's too much pressure for any one person to carry. Here's the dangerous part. Once a man learns he can control your independence, he doesn't stop. If you give up your financial freedom, he'll start controlling your choices. If you give up your voice, he'll start making decisions without you. If you give up your friendships, he becomes your only source of connection. And that kind of isolation doesn't look like love. It looks like a cage. You may think, but he wants what's best for me. He's just protective. Let me tell you something. Protection doesn't silence you. Protection doesn't isolate you. Protection doesn't strip away your choices. Real protection gives you more freedom, not less. It creates safety so you can grow, not a cage so you can shrink. And let's talk about this. A man who truly values you will celebrate your independence, not fear it. He'll look at your strength and say, that's my partner. He'll take pride in your ability to stand tall. Because he's secure enough in himself to know your independence doesn't threaten him, it enriches the relationship. The wrong man, though, will see your independence as a threat to his control. And if you notice that pattern, pay attention. That's a red flag, not a love note. Here's the truth. Independence is power. It doesn't mean you don't need anyone. It means you don't have to need anyone. You choose to love, not because you're trapped, not because you're desperate, but because you want to. And that choice, that freedom, makes love stronger, not weaker. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people standing back to back. Both are strong, both are balanced, both can hold themselves up. That's independence. Now imagine one person leaning entirely on the other. At first, it feels intimate, but after a while, the one being leaned on gets tired, weighed down, and the one doing the leaning, they've lost their ability to stand on their own. That's what happens when you let someone control your independence. It weakens you and burdens him. So if a man says, quit your job, don't see your friends, let me handle the money, let me decide everything, stop and ask yourself, who benefits here? Because love should never feel like losing yourself. And if it does, it's not love, it's control. Your independence is not a threat to love. It's the backbone of it. When you can walk away, you choose to stay for the right reasons. When you can take care of yourself, you know you're not settling. When you have your own voice, you know your opinions shape the relationship too. That's where equality lives. That's where real partnership is born. So hear me when I say this, never let a man control your independence. Don't hand over your freedom just to keep peace. Don't silence your voice just to keep him comfortable. Don't give up your money, your friends, your identity for a relationship. Because the love that demands your captivity isn't love at all, it's fear. And you deserve more than fear. At the end of the day, the most attractive thing about a woman is not how much she needs a man, it's how much she chooses him while still standing tall in her own strength. That's independence. And when you hold on to that, you'll find the man who isn't intimidated by your power, he's inspired by it. Love is about partnership, not parenthood. But too many women confuse the two, and they end up becoming a man's mother instead of his partner. They carry his weight, solve his problems, clean up his messes, all while neglecting their own needs, their own dreams, their own responsibilities. And at first, it may feel like love, like support, like sacrifice. But the longer it goes on, the more it becomes imbalance, and imbalance in relationships always turns into resentment. Here's the truth. Every grown man is responsible for himself, his bills, his job, his healing, his emotional maturity. His responsibilities belong to him, not to you. When you start carrying his load while dropping your own, you're not helping him. You're enabling him. You're teaching him that he doesn't have to grow because you'll pick up the slack. And the more you do it, the heavier it gets, until one day you wake up exhausted, drained, and wondering why he's still the same boy he was when you met him. A high-value woman knows this. Carrying a man's responsibilities isn't love, it's control disguised as sacrifice. It's saying, I don't trust you to handle your life, so I'll handle it for you. But here's the kicker. When you do his work for him, you rob him of the chance to step into his own strength. You don't just neglect yourself, you weaken him too. Think about it like this. Imagine 2 people on a hike. Each has their own backpack. Inside is everything they need to survive: food, water, tools. Now, imagine you start carrying both backpacks because he complains his is too heavy. At first, maybe you think, it's fine, I'm strong, I can handle it. But mile after mile, your back starts to ache, you're slowing down. Meanwhile, he's walking free, light, unbothered, never building the strength he needs because you're carrying his load. That's what it looks like when you carry his responsibilities and neglect your own. You're breaking your back while he coasts. And here's the sad part, many women think this kind of sacrifice will make him love them more. They think, if I just do more for him, he'll see how valuable I am. He'll realize I'm worth keeping. But that's not how it works. A man doesn't love you more because you do everything for him. He respects you less because deep down he knows he's not pulling his weight. And when respect goes, love doesn't last. Now, don't misunderstand. There's nothing wrong with support. There's nothing wrong with helping each other, lifting each other up in hard times. That's what real relationships are about. But there's a huge difference between support and sacrifice. Support says, I'll walk beside you. Sacrifice says, I'll walk for you. And when you walk for him, you stop walking for yourself. Maybe you've felt it. You're busy paying his bills while your own are piling up. You're busy fixing his messes while your own goals are collecting dust. You're pouring all your energy into building him up while your own soul is running on empty. And after a while, you don't just resent him, you resent yourself. Because deep down, you know you abandoned you. Here's the truth, the man who truly loves you will never be comfortable watching you neglect yourself for him. He won't sit back while you carry both loads. He'll insist on carrying his share, because he knows real partnership is about balance. A boy will let you mother him. A man will rise to meet you. And if you're with someone who keeps dropping his weight on you, it's time to ask yourself a hard question. Is this love or is this dependence? Because love pushes both people higher. Dependence drags one person down. You can't fix him, you can't heal him, you can't build his future while abandoning your own. That's not your job. Your job is to live fully, to handle your own responsibilities, and to give support without losing yourself. Let me put it like this, your life is like a house. Every day, you're supposed to take care of it, maintain it, build it, improve it. But when you're busy fixing his house, yours starts to crumble. The roof leaks, the walls crack, the lights go out, and by the time you notice, it's almost too late. Don't let your life fall apart because you were too busy holding it together. A relationship thrives when both people show up with accountability, when both people carry their share, when both people say, I've got me and I've got you. But when it becomes one-sided, it stops being love, it starts being labor. And love should never feel like a full-time job where you're the only employee. So here's the boundary, help him, yes. Encourage him, yes. But don't carry his weight. Don't solve every problem for him. Don't sacrifice your goals, your money, your peace just to keep him comfortable. Because the love that costs you your life isn't love, it's bondage. And hear me, the man who is worthy of your love will want to carry his own responsibilities. He'll want to stand tall, not lean on you like a crutch. He'll see your strength and match it with his own. That's what partnership looks like. That's what equality looks like. So never ever carry his responsibilities while neglecting your own. Because the moment you do, you're not just losing balance in the relationship, you're losing balance in yourself. And no man is worth the weight of your own abandoned life. Love is powerful, but love is not blind, not unless you let it be. Too many people confuse love with tolerance. They think, if I really love him, I'll forgive. If I really love him, I'll overlook it. If I really love him, I'll give him another chance. But listen carefully. Love is not a free pass for disrespect. Love is not a shield that excuses bad behavior. And if you find yourself constantly justifying his actions, making excuses to your friends, and silencing that voice inside of you that says, this isn't right, then you're not in love, you're in denial. The truth is, people don't change because you love them harder. They change because they decide to grow. And when you excuse consistent bad behavior, you're not helping him grow. You're enabling him to stay the same. You're teaching him that your love is unconditional even in the face of lies, disrespect, laziness, or cruelty. And the moment you set that standard, the cycle repeats. Think about it like this. Imagine a child who keeps breaking rules. Every time he acts out, instead of discipline, instead of accountability, he gets a smile and a pat on the back. What happens? He learns there are no consequences. He learns he can do whatever he wants. And that's exactly what happens in relationships. When you excuse bad behavior, you're training him that there are no boundaries. Here's the dangerous part. Sometimes love blinds us to patterns. You see one red flag, but you tell yourself, that's just stress. He had a hard day. You see another, and you say he didn't mean it. He'll change. You see another, and you whisper, but he loves me. Until one day, those red flags are no longer warnings, they're your normal. And you wake up in a life you never thought you'd accept, wondering how you got there. Let's be real, everyone makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. One bad day, one slip up, one misunderstanding, that's human. But consistent bad behavior is not a mistake, it's a mindset. It's a pattern. And patterns reveal character. If he constantly lies, if he constantly disrespects, if he constantly dismisses your feelings, that's not an accident. That's who he is choosing to be. And love doesn't fix that. Love without accountability becomes abuse. Love without boundaries becomes chaos. Love without respect becomes pain. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what if I leave and he finally changes for someone else? Let me tell you, if he truly wanted to change, he would have changed while he had you. A man doesn't transform because you tolerated his worst. A man transforms when he decides his worst is no longer acceptable. And that's a choice only he can make. Stop carrying the weight of his growth on your back. Stop believing that if you just forgive one more time, if you just love him a little harder, he'll wake up one morning as the man you deserve. That's not how it works. You can water concrete all you want. It's never going to grow flowers. And sometimes that's exactly what it's like when you keep excusing his behavior. You're pouring your love into someone who doesn't want to grow. You have to understand this. Your silence is permission. Your forgiveness without change is permission. Every time you excuse the inexcusable, you're telling him, I'll stay no matter what, and he believes you. That's why he doesn't change. So what do? You set boundaries, you speak up, you hold him accountable. And if he still refuses to grow, you walk away. Because leaving isn't failure, it's freedom. It's saying, I will not sacrifice my peace for your patterns. I will not abandon myself for your comfort. I love me too much to keep excusing what you refuse to fix. And here's the truth, sometimes the most powerful form of love is tough love. The kind that says, I love you, but I won't let you hurt me. I love you, but I won't let you stay stuck while dragging me down. I love you, but I love myself enough to leave if you won't change. That's real strength. Love should lift you, not break you. Love should heal you, not wound you. Love should inspire growth, not excuse destruction. So if you find yourself constantly saying, but he loves me, while wiping away tears, while covering bruises on your heart, while explaining away the same bad choices, ask yourself, is this really love? Or is this fear dressed up as devotion? At the end of the day, the man who truly loves you will never want you to excuse bad behavior. He'll hold himself accountable. He'll own his mistakes. He'll put in the work to grow, not because you demanded it, but because he values you enough to rise to your level. That's what respect looks like. So hear me clearly, never excuse consistent bad behavior just because you love him. Because love without standards destroys the very self-worth you need to keep. And when you lose that, you lose yourself. The love that costs you your dignity is too expensive. The love that asks you to stay silent about pain is too dangerous. And the love that thrives only when you excuse the inexcusable is not love at all. It's bondage. And you deserve better than bondage. You deserve freedom. You deserve peace. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to lose yourself just to keep it. Silence might feel safe, but silence is costly. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you swallow your feelings, every time you convince yourself it's not worth the fight, you chip away at the most powerful thing you bring into a relationship, your voice. When the danger is, when you lose your voice, you don't just lose arguments, you lose yourself. Here's the hard truth, if you don't speak up, he doesn't know the real you. He knows the version of you that never complains, never disagrees, never sets boundaries. But the real you, the one with opinions, needs, desires, standards, gets buried under silence. And eventually resentment takes root. You don't stop feeling, you just stop expressing. And unexpressed feelings don't disappear. They harden, they grow bitter, they explode. A relationship without your voice is not a partnership, it's submission. It's living in a one-sided world where his needs matter more than yours, his comfort matters more than your truth. And here's the problem, if you silence yourself long enough, he'll start to believe that's who you are. He'll believe you're okay with his choices, okay with his behavior, okay with the imbalance. And when that happens, your silence doesn't just protect peace, it protects dysfunction. Think about it, every healthy relationship is built on two voices, not one. Two people who come to the table with honesty, with courage, with vulnerability. If one voice dominates and the other disappears, that's not love, it's control. And control kills connection. Maybe you've been told your whole life, don't rock the boat, keep the peace, be the easy one. Maybe you've convinced yourself that conflict means failure, that disagreeing makes you difficult, that speaking up makes you nagging or ungrateful. But listen, conflict is not failure. Conflict is evidence that you're two different people trying to build something real together. And without your voice, the boat might not rock, but you're still sinking. Your voice matters, your needs matter, your feelings matter. And if you believe they don't, you'll settle for less than love. You'll settle for comfort over connection, silence over truth, survival over thriving. That's not what you were created for. Now let's be clear, speaking up doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean winning arguments. Using your voice is about honesty wrapped in respect. It's about saying, "This hurt me. I need this from you. I don't agree with that. I expect better." It's about letting him see who you really are, not just the agreeable, silent version, but the whole person. And here's something powerful. When you use your voice, you teach him how to treat you. You teach him what's acceptable and what's not. You set the standard for respect. But when you stay quiet, you teach him that anything goes. You train him to ignore your needs because you've trained yourself to hide them. Sometimes silence comes from fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of losing him. But let me ask you this, if the cost of keeping him is losing yourself, is he really worth keeping? If you have to mute your truth to keep the peace, is that really peace? Or is it just quiet suffering? A man who truly loves you will want to hear your voice, even when it's uncomfortable. He'll value your perspective, even when it challenges him. He'll respect your honesty, even when it stings. Because that's what partnership is. Iron sharpening iron, truth building trust, honesty creating intimacy. Your silence doesn't protect love, it starves it. And I want you to picture this 10 years from now, looking back on a relationship where you never spoke up, you stayed quiet to avoid arguments. You swallowed your feelings so he'd stay happy. You convinced yourself your needs weren't as important. And then you wake up one day realizing you don't even know who you are anymore. That's the danger of losing your voice. It doesn't just cost you the relationship, it costs you your identity. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can reclaim your voice. You can start today. It begins with small moments saying, "Actually, I don't agree with that. That hurt my feelings. I need more support here." And the more you speak, the stronger your voice becomes. Like a muscle, it grows with use. And the right man will not only hear you, he'll adjust, he'll grow. He'll honor the strength it takes to be real. And if he doesn't, if he mocks your voice, dismisses it, punishes it, silences it, that's your answer. That's not love. That's control. That's fear disguised as intimacy. And you deserve better. You deserve a relationship where your voice is not just tolerated, but celebrated. Never lose your voice in a relationship. Because your voice is your power. Your voice is your identity. Your voice is the bridge between your heart and his. Without it, the relationship isn't whole. Without it, you're not whole. And love should never cost you your wholeness. So speak. Even if your voice shakes, speak. Even if it leads to conflict, speak. Even if it means he leaves, speak. Because the right man will never be scared of your truth, he'll be grateful for it. And the wrong man, he's not worth your silence anyway. At the end of the day, love without your voice isn't love, it's performance. And you were not created to perform. You were created to live, to love, to be fully known and fully respected. And that begins with one choice, never losing your voice no matter what. Silence might feel safe, but silence is costly. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you swallow your feelings, every time you convince yourself it's not worth the fight, you chip away at the most powerful thing you bring into a relationship, your voice. And the danger is, when you lose your voice, you don't just lose arguments. You lose yourself. Here's the hard truth, if you don't speak up, he doesn't know the real you. He knows the version of you that never complains, never disagrees, never sets boundaries. But the real you, the one with opinions, needs, desires, standards, gets buried under silence. And eventually resentment takes root. You don't stop feeling, you just stop expressing. And unexpressed feelings don't disappear, they harden, they grow bitter, they explode. A relationship without your voice is not a partnership, it's submission. It's living in a one-sided world where his needs matter more than yours, his comfort matters more than your truth. And here's the problem, if you silence yourself long enough, he'll start to believe that's who you are. He'll believe you're okay with his choices, okay with his behavior, okay with the imbalance. And when that happens, your silence doesn't just protect peace, it protects dysfunction. Think about it, every healthy relationship is built on two voices, not one. Two people who come to the table with honesty, with courage, with vulnerability. If one voice dominates and the other disappears, that's not love, it's control. And control kills connection. Maybe you've been told your whole life, don't rock the boat, keep the peace, be the easy one. Maybe you've convinced yourself that conflict means failure, that disagreeing makes you difficult, that speaking up makes you nagging or ungrateful. But listen, conflict is not failure. Conflict is evidence that you're two different people trying to build something real together. And without your voice, the boat might not rock, but you're still sinking. Your voice matters. Your needs matter. Your feelings matter. And if you believe they don't, you'll settle for less than love. You'll settle for comfort over connection, silence over truth, survival over thriving. That's not what you were created for. Now let's be clear, speaking up doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean winning arguments. Using your voice is about honesty wrapped in respect. It's about saying, this hurt me. I need this from you. I don't agree with that. I expect better. It's about letting him see who you really are, not just the agreeable, silent version, but the whole person. And here's something powerful. When you use your voice, you teach him how to treat you. You teach him what's acceptable and what's not. You set the standard for respect. But when you stay quiet, you teach him that anything goes. You train him to ignore your needs because you've trained yourself to hide them. Sometimes silence comes from fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of losing him. But let me ask you this, if the cost of keeping him is losing yourself, is he really worth keeping? If you have to mute your truth to keep the peace, is that really peace? Or is it just quiet suffering? A man who truly loves you will want to hear your voice, even when it's uncomfortable. He'll value your perspective, even when it challenges him. He'll respect your honesty, even when it stings. Because that's what partnership is: iron sharpening iron, truth building trust, honesty creating intimacy. Your silence doesn't protect love, it starves it. And I want you to picture this 10 years from now, looking back on a relationship where you never spoke up. You stayed quiet to avoid arguments. You swallowed your feelings so he'd stay happy. You convinced yourself your needs weren't as important. And then you wake up one day realizing you don't even know who you are anymore. That's the danger of losing your voice. It doesn't just cost you the relationship, it costs you your identity. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can reclaim your voice. You can start today. It begins with small moments saying, actually, I don't agree with that. That hurt my feelings. I need more support here. And the more you speak, the stronger your voice becomes. Like a muscle, it grows with use. And the right man will not only hear you, he'll adjust, he'll grow. He'll honor the strength it takes to be real. And if he doesn't, if he mocks your voice, dismisses it, punishes it, silences it, that's your answer. That's not love. That's control. That's fear disguised as intimacy. And you deserve better. You deserve a relationship where your voice is not just tolerated, but celebrated. Never lose your voice in a relationship. Because your voice is your power, your voice is your identity, your voice is the bridge between your heart and his. Without it, the relationship isn't whole. Without it, you're not whole. And love should never cost you your wholeness. So speak. Even if your voice shakes, speak. Even if it leads to conflict, speak. Even if it means he leaves, speak. Because the right man will never be scared of your truth. He'll be grateful for it. And the wrong man, he's not worth your silence anyway. At the end of the day, love without your voice isn't love, it's performance. And you were not created to perform. You were created to live, to love, to be fully known and fully respected. And that begins with one choice: never losing your voice, no matter what. At the end of the day, love is not about losing yourself. It's not about bending so far that you break or sacrificing so much that there's nothing left of you to give. Real love is built on respect, on balance, on mutual growth. And the truth is, when you start doing the things I've talked about today, sacrificing your self-respect, abandoning your dreams, handing over your independence, carrying his responsibilities, excusing his bad behavior, or silencing your voice, you don't end up with more love. You end up with less of yourself. And here's the secret: the woman who knows her worth, who sets her standards, who refuses to shrink, she's the one who earns lasting respect. She's the one who attracts real commitment. She's the one who builds a relationship that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels good on the inside. So don't ever forget, your love is valuable, but so are you. Don't trade your dignity for his comfort. Don't trade your future for his convenience. Don't trade your voice for his silence. Because the man who truly deserves you will never ask you to. You don't need to beg for respect. You don't need to fight for a place in someone's life. You just need to stand in your truth, own your worth, and never compromise on the things that protect your heart and your future. Love should not cost you yourself. And if it does, it's not love. It's a warning sign. The right man won't be threatened by your strength. He'll be inspired by it. The right man won't silence your voice. He'll lean in to hear it. The right man won't ask you to give up who you are. He'll celebrate every part of you. So carry this with you. Never do for a man what costs you your self-respect, your independence, your peace, or your voice. Because the greatest gift you can give to the right man is the best version of you. And the greatest betrayal you can give to yourself is losing that version just to keep the wrong one. Stand tall, stand strong, and never forget, you are worth a love that never asks you to settle for less than you deserve.